We turn now to a shock in the running world over the weekend. Long-distance runner Kelvin Kiptum and his coach were killed in a car crash in Kenya.
Kelvin Kiptum was not a household name like athletes in other major sports, but his contributions to sport were unquestionable, particularly after he set an astonishing world record at the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, something you saw right here on NBC5.
An amazing effort by Kelvin Kiptum for a new world record at the Bank of America Chicago Marathon.
And Carey Pinkowski could not be happier as he hugs him at the finish line. Wow!
In stunning, dominating fashion, the 24-year-old set the world record. His time of 2 hours and 35 seconds, just his third marathon, felt like a foreshadowing of greatness.
And despite that amazing feat of setting the world record here that day, he still showed remarkable humility when I spoke to him right after that win.
How do you top this?
For now, I'm very happy. A world record was not in my mind today, but it has come definitely. But I knew one day, one time, I'll be a world record holder.
Kiptum was killed in a car accident in his native Kenya on Sunday, and according to reports out of Kenya, Kiptum was driving that car with his coach and another person inside when he lost control. His coach was also killed.
Now, in the marathon world, Kiptum's accomplishments were pretty much mind-blowing. His first marathon, he raced 2 hours, 1 minute and 53 seconds, becoming just the third person to go under 2:02. In his second marathon in London, he shaved 22 seconds off of that time.
In every single one of those races, he ran the second half of the marathon faster than the first half. Just something that's really mind-blowing. It really doesn't happen very often at all.
And most notably, it's believed that he would have been the first man to break 2 hours in the marathon. That had never been done in a non-controlled environment, but Kiptum was on pace to do it, possibly as soon as this spring. He had committed to running in Rotterdam in April.
And if anyone understood how important Kelvin Kiptum was, it was the man who brought him here to Chicago, Executive Race Director of the Chicago Marathon, Carey Pinkowski. Carey, thanks so much for joining us today. Just a really heavy day.
It's a long day, Alex, Marion. Thank you for all that you've done. I mean, it's heartbreaking. We all were excited. You know, we celebrated our 45th running of the marathon this year, and to have Kelvin break the world record is just a grand day.
I want to go back to that moment at the finish line when Kelvin leapt into your arms.
I smiled about it. That's what I mean. Yeah. That's what I remember is you know, so many things have to go right. The preparation, the training. He was so committed to Chicago. He was so committed to the marathon, and to pull it together like that. I mean, he put the effort on his shoulders. I mean, he basically ran the second half of the race by himself. And to accomplish that, it was 24 years earlier that Carey Pinkowski set the world record. So it was just amazing. We had a celebratory year, and magnificent athlete, magnificent individual. I can't help but smile. I will remember that. And I think the thing that moved me the most was the fact that I told him, "You're the world record holder," and then he went down and acknowledged Carey Pinkowski and paid homage to our four-time champion, the man that had broke the second world record in Chicago. And I think he drew on the energy from the city. The city embraced him. I think he embraced the city. He just was just amazing young man.
We talked a little bit about the potential greatness. What has the world of running lost in losing Kelvin Kiptum?
Oh, he was the heir apparent. I think he just looked at, I mean, sublimely athletic, as Alex said, humble. I think he would have taken our sport to a new level. This was a young man that would have put marathon running front and center. I think he would have not shied away from New York or Boston or hilly courses and then pushed the world record down. I mean, he just scratched the surface. He just scratched the surface.
You were following him much earlier than maybe almost anybody in the sport.
Sure.
When's the first time you heard of Kelvin Kiptum, and what was your pitch to get him here to Chicago?
I'd seen his performance in Valencia, which was amazing. Obviously, I saw him in person in London, and I was out on the course at like mile 15, and as he came by, I was amazed at his biomechanics, and I said, "This guy is amazing. We've got to get him into Chicago." But He wanted to set the world record. He wanted to go fast. I think that, we've had such a great legacy and history with the Kenyan athletes, going back to Moses Tanui and Paul Turgot and Bridget Kosgei and the records that were set here. I think that the Kenyans are keenly aware of this as a place to perform well, and it just fit together. Very rarely, I mean, he's a generational athlete. The pieces fit together like they did. So it's still our team. The outpouring of support that I've seen, starting with the mayor's office this morning. Mayor Johnson said some very wonderful things about Kelvin. People that worked at a water station, people that saw him. It's just, it's amazing.
And just one last thing, was there anything specifically about him that drew you to him besides him winning? Anything specifically, mechanically even, that may have drawn you?
I mean, obviously it speaks for himself. I mean, it's what he did athletically, but his smile. He was just approachable.
Beaming smile.
Alice, you talked to him right afterwards. I mean, he was, Marion, you spent some time with him. He was just a warm, wonderful guy. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers from our team and Bank of America Chicago Marathon are with his family and his 2 children and his wife, obviously his coach's family. Yeah. He will be missed, but we're going to celebrate what he did in the short time that we knew him and what he did here in Chicago. So it's a heartbreaker, but we won't forget him.
Thank you for bringing him here so that we all get a chance to experience him. And so sorry for your loss, because I know you get so close to these runners. So we appreciate that.
Thanks, Carey.
Thank you, Carey.